Hello, fourth grade, and welcome to our next stage of online learning. During the next few weeks, Mr. Shiflett and I will both be sort of taking turns posting videos for our reading and grammar lessons. So I was lucky enough to get to do the first one. So welcome, everybody. Hope you're all well. All right, so we all know that every time we start a new unit in our benchmark reading series, we always have two new skills that we focus on. We have a comprehension skill and a metacognitive skill. Okay, so the comprehension skill this time is author's purpose. So even though it's technically our new skill, I know you all already know about author's purpose. But just for a quick review, author's purpose, it's as easy as pie. And of course, that means P, persuade, I, inform, and E, entertain. Those are our only three choices. That means every single time an author writes something, it's for one of these reasons. Now, sometimes people get a little confused because they might think, well, couldn't that count as both? But the point isn't how we feel about it. The point is how the author feels about it. So we always have to say, what was the author's purpose? What did the author have in mind when writing something? And always one of these: persuade, inform, or entertain. All right, so let's look at just a couple examples. When I look at a poetry book, Shel Silverstein, one of my favorite poets, my class knows that. This book is filled with poems, and these poems, some are funny, some are sad, some are meant, some teach a lesson. But the point of this book is to entertain. The point of any poem is to entertain. Author's purpose is to entertain for poetry. Now I have some of our typical favorites here in fourth grade. We have the Wimpy Kid books, the Bad Guys books. Any story, the purpose of any story is to entertain. That's the author's purpose for writing a story, is to entertain their readers. Here's some of my other favorite books, also stories, which means the purpose is to entertain. Now, I enjoy reading books about World War II. These books are both historical fiction. So I actually learned a lot when I read them, especially this one. I learned a lot when I read this book. Things that I didn't know about that happened during World War II. So even though I learned some things, the author's purpose wasn't to teach me. The author didn't write this with the point of, I hope someone learns. I want to inform them. It's a book. It's a story. So the author's purpose is entertain. Now here I have an example. If you can see this big giant book, The Presidents of the United States. I bet before we even open this, we have a pretty good idea what the author's purpose is. Inform. The author's purpose is to inform you all about all the different presidents of the United States. I personally think this book is really, really boring. But if I want to learn something about the presidents, I can find it in here. So that tells me that it's written with the purpose of informing me. Now, one of my sons, when he was little, used to ask me to read him bedtime stories from this book. So it entertained him, which, I don't know, didn't entertain me, but it entertained him. But that doesn't mean that was the purpose. The purpose is to inform because it's a book filled with facts about the presidents. So we always want to say, now what is the author's purpose? Why did the author write it when we're thinking about author's purpose? I didn't have any examples for persuasive text. And then I thought, I don't need to have any examples for persuasive text. The last thing we did in writing before school ended was we all wrote a persuasive text. You all wrote a persuasive letter. Some of you wrote it to your teachers, persuading us to give you less homework or persuading us to have recess at a different time. Some of you wrote to Mr. Wilfong or Mrs. Kuzmiak about those same things. Some of you wrote to the mayor. Some of you wrote to your parents asking for a new pet or to rearrange your bedroom. And those were persuasive texts because you were the author and your purpose was to persuade someone to do what you wanted them to do. So that's an example of persuasive text. So during your activities this week on our Google Classroom, you're going to be asked about author's purpose. So you always have to remember, It's as easy as pie. The answer is always going to be persuade, inform, and entertain. And I know sometimes people tend to get a few of them confused, thinking, well, it kind of is this, but we have to think, what was the author's purpose when the author wrote it? Were they trying to give you facts to teach you about something? Were they trying to persuade you to make you think like they did? Or is it for fun? Is it for entertainment and enjoyment? So that's what you want to think about for author's purpose. Okay, so that was our comprehension skill. The next skill is our metacognitive skill. Now remember, metacognitive means thinking about your thinking. And we always say good readers do that all the time and don't even realize it. Every time a good reader reads a book, you stop and you do. Okay, here we go. These are the skills that we've covered so far. These are the skills that we have. Whoops, there we go. There's signs hanging up in our classrooms that talk about all these skills. Good readers always ask questions as they read. They stop and they think, well, I wonder what that means. Good readers determine text importance. As you're reading, you stop and think, did the author put that there because it was very important, or was it just to keep it interesting? Good readers always visualize. They picture what's going on in the text. Good readers make connections. We talked about connections many times. You connect to yourself, connect to the world around you, connect to others. And good readers make inferences. They make predictions and they infer about what something means or what might happen next. So those are all the ones we've already talked about. Those are all the metacognitive skills, the thinking about our thinking skills that we've already covered. So the new one for this unit is called summarize and synthesize. Summarize isn't new. We have summarized since all year. We know what summarize means. It just means you restate just the important points from a text without all the details. So when you read a whole big book, you may summarize it in 5 sentences. You just pull out the main important parts. That's summarize. But that doesn't really show you understand a text. That just shows that you were able to pull out the main details about what it was about. But when you can synthesize, that shows that you understand it as well. So what it means to synthesize is it just takes your summary a step further, and it shows that you now understand the text. So it takes your summary, you can combine it then with your own thoughts, and then we'll see that you have a clear understanding of the text. Let me show you an example. Okay, so as I'm sitting here today, it's cold and windy and a little bit snowy. Also, I've been in my house and on my street only for a month now, probably like most of you. So I've been thinking about vacation, thinking, it would be nice to go on a summer vacation, and I'm hoping I can. So I was thinking about places to go, and that was what gave me this idea to show you an example of summarize and synthesize. So what I did is I read about 2 different places I could go on for a summer vacation: Ocean City, Maryland, or Sandbridge, Virginia. Here's what the internet had to say to try to explain these places to me. I'm going to do Ocean City, Maryland first. Ocean City, Maryland is a popular resort town. It features miles of beaches filled with tourists enjoying the sun and sand and waves. There's a boardwalk filled with restaurants, shops, hotels, and more. At the end of the boardwalk, you'll find a theme park filled with exciting rides and fun attractions. Okay, so that's what it had to say about Ocean City. Here's what it had to say about Sandbridge, Virginia. Sandbridge, Virginia is a secluded private beach hideaway of pristine sand dunes and a dancing ocean. It is a relaxing and peaceful, quiet, family-friendly community where you can truly slow down and unwind on your beach vacation. Besides our beaches, you can enjoy hiking, fishing, kayaking, and visiting our nearby state park and wildlife refuge. So I'm going to summarize those. Here's how I would summarize the Ocean City one. I'm going to take that whole big paragraph I read and do a quick summary. I would summarize it by saying Ocean City is a large, popular beach town with a lot of places to go for entertainment. Much shorter than the whole passage, right? Now I'm going to summarize the Sandbridge one. Sandbridge is a quiet, small beach town with many ways to enjoy outdoor activities. That was my summary. Now for the synthesis. Now I need to take it a step further to show that I understand the text and it wasn't simply pulling out a couple of details. So to synthesize, I would say, I personally don't really like crowded beaches. I really don't like amusement parks all that much. I would much rather go to Sandbridge, Virginia. I think I would actually want to learn to kayak. Because of all that, yeah, Sandbridge is where I'm going to choose to go this summer. So that was my synthesis. I took my summary and I added my own thoughts. It shows that I understand the text, and I made a synthesis. Now, everybody's synthesis isn't always the same. If one of my sons would read this, he would probably say, "Oh, I want to go to Ocean City because I love going to different restaurants every night, and I love amusement parks, and I love the boardwalk and the shops." So his synthesis that shows he understands the text based on the summary would be different than mine. So when we summarize a text, we all do it the same way. We pull out the important details. But then synthesis lets you add your own thoughts to it and sort of combine all of that to come up with, just to take your summaries a step further. It shows that you have a higher level understanding of the text other than just exactly what it says. It shows you were able to take it a step further and understand the meanings of it. All right, so that was just my quick little example of summarize and synthesize. When you do your Google Classroom assignments this week, skill will be on there as well. So this week, we're focusing on our 2 skills, just like we always do when we're in school and start a new unit in benchmark literacy. We have our comprehension skill of determining author's purpose, and we have our thinking about our thinking skill, our metacognitive skill of summarize and synthesize. All right, as always, if you have any questions at all, please reach out to Mr. Shiflett or me. We will always try to get back to you as soon as we can. And you know that we always are available on Zoom, 8 to 9:30 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So if you have any questions, you can get a hold of us then as well. Okay, I hope everybody is well, and we'll see you soon.